All right, Sarah. So I observed your differentiated word study lesson. To start, Claire was doing a repeated long U sort, and you were working with Nevaeh on completing a blind sort of long O and short O because you said she was still struggling with that. So how do you think your lesson went?
I think it went pretty well. I think that since this was only my second time differentiating the instruction, I was still kind of getting used to how long they take on word sorts and how long to expect them to do the sort and plan instruction based on that. I think that having Claire she did the repeated sort first, and I definitely think that that was a good instructional choice because she was reading the words and kind of engaging with them before we even dove into the lesson. And then when she was doing that, she was able to do that independently because we had already done it the day before. So I was able to really work with Nevaeh on the long and short O sounds, and she needed that like one-on-one support. And I did think that she was doing a nice job with that. I decided to do the blind sort because the day before we did a blind writing sort, and she didn't master that. So I wanted to go back kind of and model a little bit more for her. And when we were doing it, she did a nice job deciding where to place each word. The only thing she mixed up was the word broke she put in the oddball section. But then when I was asking probing questions, she was able to independently figure out where to move it. And then when we were having that discussion about the patterns and the differences, I could tell that she was really starting to grasp the difference between the different patterns. And I think that, so then after she did the blind sort, I had her write sentences using the words, like one from each column that we worked with during that blind sort. And that was actually not something I had in my plan, but I had her do because I realized Claire was done and she was waiting for me. So, but it actually ended up being a good thing because I think it enhanced her learning. So then when she was doing her sentences, I checked and reflected with Claire, and then I had Claire do a blind writing sort so that I could use that as an assessment tool to see if she was really understanding the long U pattern. And then I went back to Nevaeh and kind of checked and reflected with her and had her do a repeated sort while I finished working with Claire and checked and reflect. So it was a lot of going back and forth, but I actually think that neither one of them felt confused or didn't understand what was going on, and I felt like both of them mastered what they were doing.
Can you tell me a little bit as to how you got to the conclusion to have Claire complete a writing? Was it just for time purposes, or you decided to have her write sentences because it worked well for Nevaeh? Claire.
For have her write.
Did she write sentences after her sort?
From after the repeated sort?
Yeah.
No, she didn't write sentences.
Okay, gotcha.
Just
Sorry.
Nevaeh did. No.
Okay, just Nevaeh did. Gotcha.
And then I was able to go back with her and go over. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little confusing.
Sorry, I'm confused.
No, because there was a lot of going back and forth, like I said, so it can be very
But that's
confusing.
good. I mean, that shows the differentiation, right? And that was the purpose of your lesson.
Right.
So what did my data collection chart show you?
So it showed me, I asked you to do two things. The first thing was my question and their response, so I could see really if they were mastering the skill. And it allowed me to, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to continue on another day with Nevaeh with the long and short O. So this, as I was looking through it and thinking about like teacher observation in my assessment, I decided that I think she is ready to move forward. So it really allowed me to show that she had mastered the long and short O. And then Claire too, it helped me understand if she was ready to move on to the next sort. And I also was allowed to, was like looking at my questions that I asked to make sure that they were strong enough and that I was not probing too much, and that they were getting to the answer themselves. And I also had you look at how they were working independently when I was teaching one of them. And it seemed like Claire did a really nice job when she was working independently, which is what I thought. She was reading the words to herself, which shows that she was engaged with the lesson. And then Nevaeh, she was doing a nice job when she was writing her sentences, but she, you noticed that she erased a lot. And this is also something that I noticed too. And I'm not sure, she loves using the whiteboard,
The
and I'm
whiteboard,
never
yes.
sure
The
if
markers, they love
yeah,
it.
I'm not sure if she like erased because it was maybe like something fun, or if she made a mistake, because I've noticed that she does that a lot.
Yeah.
Or if she's confused. So maybe I'll check in with her next time
Yeah.
to see if she's just having like if she's having a tough time, or why she's erasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. As I was observing, it didn't seem like she was off the track. I think she was just having. I mean, she still got her work done. Which
Yeah.
is good.
So maybe it was just fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. So I know this was one of the first times that you were differentiating their word work, because until this point they were pretty much on the same level. How do you think that aspect of your teaching went?
I think it went well. I think, as I said, I was going back and forth a lot. I don't think either of them were sitting doing nothing for a long period of time. But what I also, after doing that, I also realized that maybe I should differentiate in a different way, like have Claire do the word study and Nevaeh do writing, and then have them swap, because that might give them more one-on-one instruction, and they're not looking at the other students, what the other student is doing, and like saying, well, she's done and I'm waiting, and it might just help them focus more on what they're doing and not what the other person is doing.
So you've been working with them for a few weeks. Have you gotten to the point yet where you realize what motivates the two of them? Like what makes them want to do well for you?
Yes, definitely. They do enjoy the word sorts. Maybe I think it's something new to them. It doesn't seem like it's something that they've done before. But I've noticed that they love writing on the whiteboards when it comes to word work. Might have been the reason why she loves the eraser, and so that really motivates them. They like educational games with word work, and I'm also challenging myself to try to incorporate more of their interests into word work. Like I know we do a lot of word hunts, where we look through the book, and I'm trying to think, how can I incorporate books that they enjoy and their interests into word study, because both of them really do enjoy to read, especially when they can make connections to the text. So if I can incorporate a book that they really enjoy reading into word study instruction, then that might even motivate them more.
Bridge the gap.
Yeah.
Between. So you just mentioned that they like educational games. What's an example of some of the educational games you've played?
We did a tic-tac-toe game where instead of doing X's and O's, they had to pick a word, and then they would win.
Yeah.
We also have done like sight word races where like I time how fast they can read the sight words, and they kind of like a competition.
Good. That's the fun part of having two teachers.
Yeah.
They can get to know. They definitely do like each other.
Yes.
You can totally tell.
Yeah.
They do. So overall, what are you learning about yourself as a teacher, and how it relates to the theorists and the theories that we've been learning about?
Well, I definitely think that it's important as a teacher to really get to know what your students need, and what motivates them, their interests, their values, and I think that it's really important to incorporate that into classroom instruction. And I think all of the theorists that I've been learning about agree with this. And also Freire talks about how the importance of dialogue with the teacher and the student, and also the students engaging in dialogue. And I feel like even maybe not in word study, the lesson that you observe, but just in general with my tutoring, I feel like I've since I have two TTs, I've been trying a lot after we read to have them engage in some sort of dialogue about the text, and just what they're feeling about the text, and just try to get them to think more critically about it. And I also, Catherine Au talks about talk stories, and how it's important that students engage in dialogue together and learn about each other. And my two T's didn't know each other before, so they're really learning about each other's lives through reading, and I just think that that's really important for them. Thank you.